Hey folks, how's it going? This is going to be part 3A of my series Reloading Inexpensive 308 Ammo. This is going to be Introduction to Load Development. This is going to be a real quick video. I'm just going to give you some quick resources and some terminology that's going to be very important for the next video where we actually do our load development. So, in this video we're going to talk about some terminology, we're going to talk about component selection, we're going to talk about the basic load development steps, and then we're going to talk about a couple of the most common load develop methods. So, important terminologies we need to know. First, we need to know the difference between internal, external, and terminal ballistics. And I will provide links not only in this slideshow, but also in the description. But the basic gist of it is internal ballistics is everything that happens inside the gun. Between the time when the trigger is pulled and when the bullet exits the bore. External ballistics is what happens to the bullet while it's in flight, moving through the atmosphere. And terminal ballistics is what happens to the bullet in the target once the bullet reaches its destination. The second important terminology we're going to discuss is accuracy versus precision. So, accuracy and precision are actually terms commonly used in mathematics. So you notice this link I provided is actually a link to a math-centered website, but it has the absolute best, most succinct description on the difference between accuracy and precision. And here it is, and it's even shown as targets. So I guess I first need to talk about accuracy and precision is important to us because it doesn't really help you to shoot tight groups if you can't put those tight groups on the target you're aiming at, be it an animal, a piece of paper, a piece of steel, or the bad guy who's busted into your window who's trying to rape your wife and daughters at 3 o'clock in the morning. So this first target, we have a nice tight group, but it's outside of the center of the target. So this target has low accuracy and high precision. In other words, it's very precise. Your hits, your bullet impacts are close together, but they're not accurate. They're not on target. So what you've got is just a bunch of really close together misses, which do you no good. Now we have a target with high accuracy and low precision. That is, you have a bunch of hits, and they're centered on the target, but they're far apart. I would say this is better than low accuracy, high precision. But what we're really after, and why we do load development, is we want high accuracy and high precision. We want a tight group of impacts on the center of our target. So, step one is to decide what your ammo is going to be used for. Is it going to be hunting, target practice, or self-defense? And you're going to choose your components completely differently for those three uses. Nowadays with modern bullets, the hunting and the target ammo is probably going to have the most overlap. So you're not going to use a simple hollow point boat tail bullet in a 223 to try and hunt, moose or bear or some sort of dangerous game. But you're not going to use ball ammo for self-defense, whereas ball ammo might be perfectly acceptable for, quote-unquote plinking or target practice. So once you're developing a round and you have some idea what you're going to use it for, and in our case, it's just going to be target practice, right? Across the gun, across the course shooting, hitting steel, blowing holes in paper targets, just to have fun with, out of a semi-auto rifle. So once you've done step one, you decide what you're going to make your ammo for, you move on to step two, which is you select components, you come up with some sort of budget, because we're all, probably not billionaires. So you're going to select the components. They're going to perform well, internally in your weapon, so you're not, you're not going to use. I'm trying to think of a good example here of using the right bullet for a particular gun. I can't think of anything. Well, okay, so you have a 300 blackout. You're not going to use, a little 150 grain round nose bullet in a 300 blackout. That would be insane, right? You're going to pick a bullet that's going to perform in the external ballistics up to your standards. Now, if you're just hunting hogs and the range is going to be, less than 100 yards, you don't need necessarily a low drag bullet. Well, if you're going to be trying to shoot a target a mile away, you absolutely have to have an extremely low drag, high performance, bullet. And then terminal performance. If you're shooting an animal, even if it's far away, you need a bullet that's not only going to fly good and straight and be accurate, you're going to need a bullet that's going to kill whatever you're trying to hit, right? So you're not going to try and shoot a 1,200-pound moose at 600 yards with a 223. You could, but that'd be very unethical. The same thing goes if you're not going to use a 300 grain 338 Lapua to try and hunt coyotes, to either for pest eradication or you're gonna, collect hides. So, and budget's another consideration. Are you shooting bench rest? Well, if you're shooting bench rest, budget is, whatever money you got. In our case, we're trying to, load ammo to shoot as much as possible. That is to say, inexpensively, not cheap, but inexpensively. So in our case, we're using CCI 200 primers because I'm a CCI fanboy. Basically, I use nothing but CCI primers because they're consistently good across the board. I'm sure there's betters out there and everyone has their opinion. LC once fired brass because it's cheap. Varget, and I use Varget because it's very temp stable, which is important where I live in Ohio. And we're using Hornady 168 grain hollow point boat tails because they're, as far as accuracy and ballistic coefficient go, they're one of the best bullets for the money out there. And then step 3, we're going to choose a method. There's two very popular methods. There's OCW and then there's the ladder test. I use the OCW method. Not that I don't think the ladder test isn't valid. I just think ladder test more lends itself towards shooting at a single known distance. Like, for example, and the reason why it was invented was for 1,000-yard bench rest. So there's going to be a ton of links in the description. Lots of info. I'll link to other videos. And hopefully sometime this month will be part B of this, and I'll actually load up some rounds and talk about the OCW method at length and go out and shoot them and then bring the target back, and we'll talk about what we're looking for on our test target.